Hello everybody, I'm Ard and welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. Today, we're going to continue on thermodynamics and try to get moving forward to the point where we can make a void miner. But first, you might be asking yourself, why am I on a hill way on the other side of the water from my base? And it's because while trying to prep for this episode, I kind of discovered something. I was trying to find a basalts because I'm going to need basalts rods in the not too far off future. But while doing so, I found something else. And long story short, did you know you can capture fire and ice dragons inside a spawner changer and create a dragon spawner? I sure didn't. I'm not sure what I'll do with this knowledge because you have to manually harvest the corpses. But I guess dragon meat's back on the menu, guys. So I captured a low tier fire dragon on the surface. But when I run it out of the spawner, it seems to give different ages and different sexes out of it, so it doesn't seem to be bound to the one that I created. I don't know if I can get the ones that are in caves or not. I might have to go try to capture one. But I'm over here because that's a tundra over where my base is, and I can't spawn the fire dragons here. It might be worth trying an ice dragon inside my base and seeing if I can create a cage to actually easily farm that, but I have no idea how I'm going to harvest the corpse. So it's at least something to think about and completely unrelated to where I was planning on going today. Back to the base. So as mentioned, I want to try to make the void miner in the near future, and this requires some pretty unpleasant steps. To make the void miner, it requires a bunch of stuff we've never seen before from environmental tech. The diamond block's just a diamond block, but we need these blocks of litherite, and these are kind of unfortunate. Because these require 9 litherite crystals, and there's 2 ways of handling these. One, you can see they can be replicated for 600 MB UU, which we could do that, except we would need 36 of them, and that gets prohibitively expensive in UU pretty fast, which we don't have this much right now. Or we can do it via the fluid transposer with molten endurnium, which is the platinum lead alloy thing I mentioned before, mixed with resin ender, which we can make, but we're short on platinum. We also need these terrestrial artifacts, which are just a bunch of empowered crystals, which we can do not too difficultly, although I don't have it automated in any way, and I probably should look into that. That said, that is only one of 2 problematic things. The other one is sitting here in this diode, which we have, well, skystone blocks, that's easy. Powered void crystal, that's easy. Infused gears, we've done that. Machine frame, sure. Oh, an iridium reinforced plate. Well, that's an issue, because that requires 4 iridium ingots. We have 1 from a loot chest or something somewhere, but we need 3 more. And unfortunately, these are only found on other planets. That said, there is a shortcut. We can use the pulverizer to grind up platinum ore. We can also technically use the ore washing plant and the thermal centrifuge from Industrial Craft as well. I don't know if the rates are the same, I can't remember. But we can boost this with an add-on, and we can boost it even further if we use the tectonic initiator, which uses tectonic petroleum, which is why I wanted the basalts, because this is where the basalts powder comes from basalts rods. So thankfully, I did go find a basalts out in a wasteland without too much trouble. So if we look at the quest book where we left off last time, well, you can see that we're almost to the fluid transposer, so we can do that. Additional issues, we can only get platinum from the nether or from the twilight forest. We can't create it in any way. We have to manually go mine it. So that's going to be a pain, but we can go do that. We can go carve out large swaths of the nether to go grind up in the pulverizer. So to start with, let's make the energetic infuser and open up the fluid transposer. And the energetic infuser is really not any harder than anything else we've seen before, so we've got to shove 3 things into the atomic reconstructor instead of 1 this time. And done with the energetic infuser. So what this does is it recharges items that take energy, not unlike the energy pads from Industrial Craft 2 or the batteries from Mechanism, but it can also make a couple specific special things, like increasing the power of Phytogrow or Aqua Chow, but more importantly, charging Certus crystals. So, has uses, but not that amazing. Now, onto the machine we care about, the fluid transposer. So the fluid transposer is actually a little more complicated because it requires a carpenter, which thankfully isn't hard to make, and a couple of tanks, which also aren't hard to make, and some invar, so a little more than the ones before it, but still not too bad. And done with the fluid transposer now too. So the way this works is it can be basically used as a squeezer to take something out of something, so in this case seeds into seed oil, or water out of a sponge, or God forbid you need it, mushroom stew out of a mushroom soup bowl. But you get the idea. Or it can be used to inject a fluid into something. Phytogrow with sap into rich Phytogrow, snowballs with experience into blizz powder, which is how you can get around needing a blitz or a blizz or a basalt or any of these. It's also one of the ways you can fill up the item ducts to upgrade them. So like this now plated item duct with glowstone to make it the impulse item duct to speed it up, or just shown as in our case, the means to turn the terrestrial artifact into litherite, which is what we actually want to use it for. I do need to find a place for all these machines in my base here, but I'm not going to hook this up quite yet because I don't need it yet because I'm not quite ready to move forward on this. So let's continue with the next step, which is the Magma Crucible, which I wanted last time to melt cobblestone down into lava to replace my pump in the nether so I just won't ever run out of lava. And this one is also pretty simple. It requires the hardened glass that we already made, and then everything else is simple. And the Magma Crucible is done and set up. So we should note that this isn't just for making lava. It can actually melt down a bunch of different things into a bunch of different materials, and it does have a whole bunch of various uses. Like it can even make the resin ender we need. But the important part for this is there's also this pyroconvective loop, which is the specialization for it, which only lets you create lava, but lets you create lava fast. If you stop to see how I have this hooked up, you see that I have a cobblestone generator under it, a flat transfer node going up into the crucible, then a liquid transfer node going out into this ender tank. If you look in here, you can see that I have it upgraded to the point where it has 2 upgrades with the pyroconvective loop and the auxiliary reception coil to speed it up dramatically. As you can see, it's already filled up. So with that, I went and gutted my setup in the nether because I no longer needed the pump there and didn't have to maintain it and constantly go back there and replace it. So this helps a great deal. Now, am I going to hook this back up to a magma dynamo sometime? I don't know. And with this done, we now have the basic machine row done for thermal expansion. We can start going to fill out all of the rest of this, but first, I think what I'm actually going to do is make another induction smelter and put it in my Sieve farm. And the reason that I want to add it here is I need to strip out at least one of the furnaces in here because I want to start producing slag, specifically rich slag, to do ore multiplication within the induction furnace I'm going to put outside this to handle platinum so I can get more platinum out of it. Because as you can see here, if we look at the induction smelter recipe, some of the things can produce rich slag, things like silver, or ardite, which we're not getting here directly, or osmium, which is all coming out of my sieves. There's a lot of this. So let me swap out one of the furnaces, but before then, you might notice that I've added an extra array here. This array is mostly manual. Back here behind you can see an ender chest that feeds into it. This is to take crushed endstone and crushed netherrack from outside in one of the drawers in my base and feed it into here when I go manually mine it, because I'm not creating it right now. This is mostly so I can get a supply of ardite and the gems from endstone that you can only get with a diamond mesh for things for the Empower. You can see in here I currently have an iron mesh because you can only get uranium from crushed endstone with an iron mesh or lower. You can't use the diamond one. So let me swap out one of these furnaces really fast. Alright, and now I've got this up and processing, but I got caught by surprise by something that I forgot. If you come inside the induction smelter, you need sand or some other flux item, including the rich slag or the normal slag, to process ore. So I had to set up another material stoneworks back behind the rest of mine to pump sand into this constantly. So more power used. But as you can see by this chest, it's starting to kick out rich slag, which is what I wanted. So we'll be able to start piling that up for when it comes time to start doing duplication on the platinum. If we look in here at the augments that I'm using the auxiliary sieve, which increases the chances of it, as well as the speed increase. So this is going at about the same rate as my other furnaces. So mission accomplished on this. So the last thing we're going to do today is set up a processing line for handling platinum ore so we can get the iridium out of it. And we're just going to put it in this room because we already have means for getting stuff into here via that ender chest back there. And it's just as good a spot for any ore processing as we have going on right now anyhow, since we're already technically doing it right here anyways. So let me get this set up and I'll show you what it does. Alright, so I got this set up, but I'm not entirely happy with the setup. It's extremely clunky in a way that I don't like. So if we come to the back where the ender chest is, when we go into it, this is where everything dumps in, including the nether platinum ore that we're going to be putting in here. This all feeds up into this array up here, starting with the nether platinum ore going into this furnace, which renders it down into normal platinum ore. And those get sent over into this pulverizer, which is fed with the tectonic petroleum, which kicks out platinum and iridium, which gets kicked out into my normal furnaces to process these into ingots. The basalt rods end up in this pulverizer right here, which creates basalt powder, which that's all easy. problem is when we get to this crafter, however, you notice how this is loaded up with a bunch of redstone and some obsidian and some Libisol's powder. These first 3 slots are locked. These have to be here, but because of how the rest of this is set up, when we go into this chest, it will prioritize the redstone first before anything else. So until it fills the redstone slots back up, none of the rest of this will feed. There's probably some less clunky way of handling it, but that's how we're working, unfortunately. Once we do that, we feed the petroleum dust into the Magma Crucible, which turns into tectonic petroleum, which then feeds back into the starting pulverizer. The pulverizer, we have the tectonic initiator to use the tectonic petroleum to increase the outputs, as well as the auxiliary sieve to try to get us more iridium. So despite being kind of not entirely happy with how it's set up, it's at least working. So I'm probably gonna have to revisit this at some point because, again, I'm not entirely happy with how it is set up, but it works. I also need to definitely get better uranium processing going, because right now having to go farm crushed endstone is getting to be really tedious, and I'm constantly running out in my nuclear reactor for my matter fabricator. So that's becoming a problem. So I think we're gonna have to do that in the very, very near future, and I don't even know how I'm gonna solve that one. If anyone has any ideas for solving either of these problems, that would be much appreciated. I would definitely like to make the inputs to this less clunky. So that would be great. Anyways, as always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.